Yo, what is up, man? Welcome into the show. Brand new edition of Sentell, live on Facebook. Very special edition. As you can see, no entrance music tonight. No hype opening. Because tonight is a different type of night. It's a different feel. Um, just generally as a sports show, I like to keep it about sports, but at the same time, there's a lot going on right now in the world. In the world of sports has kind of combined, and tonight I just want to focus on some of that. I mean, like I said again, this is a sports show, but sometimes some things are bigger than sports. Right now, this is bigger than sports, and it has been, but it has been highlighted by recent events that has happened. But I want to try and focus on some of that stuff. This is an open dialogue tonight. I want to hear mostly from you guys, phone calls, comments. I want raw emotion. I just want honesty. I want everybody to be upfront. I know it's a tough subject, race, politics, and all of this good stuff. We ain't gonna agree on everything, but let's be honest. Respect each other. Let's talk about some of the stuff that needs to be talked about. So I'll get into what I have to get into in just a second, but I really want to hear from you. I want phone calls. I want comments. I really want to hear from you guys. Lots going on. So definitely dive into some of that. Before I do get into that, let me just say that Friday I will be in Calhoun Falls broadcasting live from the Alumni Day at the practice field. So we'll be broadcasting live from there, and there we will get back to talking sports. We'll get back to talking about Calhoun Falls sports as well. So Friday I will be broadcasting live. I wasn't even planning on doing the show this week, but with all that has happened in the last week, I felt the need that I need to come on here today. So like once again, it's like this is such a mundane type atmosphere, but an informative show to say the least. The Anthem Protest, what the president said over the weekend, what happened on Sunday and Monday throughout the NFL. So, I mean, it's huge. You can try to choose to ignore it, but you can't ignore it. You can't hide from it. You can't run from it. So, I'll start off like this. Anthem Protest. Colin, this started 2016, August 2016, Colin Kaepernick. This all began with him. He was seen sitting down for the national anthem on the 27th of August, I believe. It might have been the 14th, but nobody picked up on it until about the 27th. So after the game, of course, they finally caught the Kaepernick, and he simply, I'm quoting Colin Kaepernick here after the first time they noticed that he didn't stand for the national anthem. This is what Kaepernick said, and I quote, "I am not going to stand up to show pride in a flag for a country that oppresses black people and people of color." Cap went on to say that this is bigger than football. I agree. And it would be selfish on my part to look the other way. There are bodies in the street and people getting paid leave and getting away with murder. That was his first statement. Again, everybody keeps trying to change the narrative. You hear from the first statement, this is about people being oppressed, inequalities. You hear it right from that's the beginning. So you get the backlash. His second statement that he made, which came like a day or two later, and again, he says, and I quote, "I'm going to continue to stand with the people that are being oppressed. To me, this is something that has to change. When there's significant change, and I feel that flag represents what it's supposed to represent, and this country is representing the people the way it's supposed to, I'll stand." This stand wasn't for me. This is because I'm seeing things happen to people that don't have a voice, people that don't have a platform to talk and have their voices heard and affect change. So I'm in the position where I can do that, and I'm going to do that for people that can't. To all the people who say that why do billionaire athletes care and he should just stick to playing football and he don't have anything to worry about. He's entitled. I mean, which is ridiculous. I mean, seriously. I mean, so because you got money and fame, you shouldn't care about what happens to the next man. But he would go on to say it's something that can unify this team. It's something that can unify this country. If we have real conversations that are uncomfortable for a lot of people, if we have these conversations, there's a better understanding of where both sides are coming from. I agree 100%. This is very uncomfortable for some people, but it's a conversation that needs to be had nevertheless. And then he goes on to say, this is important. I have great respect for the men and women that have fought for this country. I have family, I have friends that have gone and fought for this country, and they fought for freedom. They fight for the people that fight for liberty and justice for everyone. That's not happening. People are dying in vain because this country isn't holding their end of the bargain up. As far as giving freedom and justice, liberty to everybody, that's something that's not happening. I've seen videos, I've seen circumstances where men and women that have been in the military have come back and been mistreated unjustly by the country they fought for, and I have been murdered by the country they fought for on our land. That's not right. Lots to take in there. Lots to digest with that. Again, he emphasizes, I'm not anti-American, anti-military. I'm not trying to disrespect the troops. He goes out of his way to say I have great respect for the military. But yet here we sit a year or so later, and people continue to try and create this narrative that this is about a flag, this is about the national anthem, doing everything to change the story about what it's supposed to be about. I just gave you exactly verbatim what the man said this is about. It can't be disputed. It's in black and white. So all this other narrative that has been created, that people have come up with, is on their own accord. He said it right there in black and white. And he said it multiple times. Then he said it multiple times now, and I'm sure he'll say it multiple times going forward. This is not about the military. This is not about a flag. This is not about the national anthem. I was in the military. I've done a tour with several other people. And I didn't go to fight for a piece of cloth. I went to preserve the freedoms and the democracy that this country is founded on. Its freedoms, its ideals. That's what we went for. We didn't go for a piece of cloth. So let's stop trying to hide behind patriotism, because what you're trying to do is trying to hide behind patriotism to ignore what's really going on because you don't want to talk about it. That's where the uncomfortableness comes in. But you have to get out of the uncomfortableness so we can move forward, because you got to talk about this. You can't ignore this. This is real. This is a real situation right now, what's going on. So after that, Kaepernick was still sitting at this point. So he goes, talks to Nate Boyer, a former Green Beret, military man, and they decide that Cap should kneel. Boyer would say that this way you're showing a little bit more respect, by kneeling, but also letting people know that you are protesting and that you are hoping to see change and that you're trying to make a point. So he went to kneeling. He told you already what about the military. He told you he was anti-American. Then he kneeled at the behest of a Green Beret, a guy who's following the front line in the military. But some of you people still want to create the narrative and the dialogue that he's anti-American, he's anti-military. You're still trying to spin this narrative, and it's not true. And then throughout the whole season, Cap continued to kneel. Throughout the season, he said that he would go into communities. He would donate money. He would donate his time. And at this point, to this day, right now, Cap has donated over $800,000 of his own money to several charitable organizations, poor people, minorities, stand up for women, and one that people who are continue this narrative about the military and anti-us. He's donated money to the military veterans of this country, and we all know that most of the veterans in this country are not treated well at all. So the guy who's anti-military and anti-this and that and the other is donating money to the military veterans. That guy. That's the guy who's donating money. So this is what it's all started from. This is where it began with Colin Kaepernick decided to take a knee last year. I gave you the reason why he took the knee. And it's all laid out for you. It's all laid out for you. So we'll get to a couple other things, and then I'll let y'all guys get in here because I know y'all itching to get in here. But I want to read a couple things that's from this country. First Amendment, from the Constitution, the First Amendment. The First Amendment, I'm reading it verbatim. To express ideas through speech and the press, the freedom to assemble or gather with a group, to protest, to gather with a group, to protest, or for other reasons, and to ask the government to fix problems. I say it again, to protest for other reasons and to ask the government to fix problems. So it's even in the Constitution on the First Amendment the right to protest peacefully. And why do you protest? To have the government, to ask the government to fix problems. So Colin's seen a problem. He decided to protest and to ask the government to fix the problem. It's right there in black and white. It's written in the First Amendment. Right there in black and white. Had every freedom to do what he's been doing, to do what he did. Every right. But we'll just gloss over that. We'll just try to make it about the flag. We'll just try to make it about the military so we can ignore what's the real problem. So we can ignore what's really going on. Let me read another big document in the U.S. history, the Declaration of Independence. I think we all know where this is headed. That all states that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by the Creator with certain inherent rights, that among these are the pursuit of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That's the Declaration of Independence. All men are created equal. There it is, right there in black and white. First Amendment, right to peaceful protest, to ask the government to fix problems. Declaration of Independence, all men created equal. But he had to apologize to ask the government to fix problems that he see exist, that we all see exist. We all see these problems exist. Because it exists. Now you can lie to yourself if you want and say it don't exist. But again, you would be lying to yourself. But all of that led to what happened this past weekend. And that was off the comments made by Donald Trump. I'm sure you guys have heard this a million times. I didn't mind Sunday. It didn't strike me as it didn't strike me well because the owners in this situation were being disingenuous to me. Because the owners don't care about. Let me say this: I don't think that the billionaire owners care about oppressed people in this country. I don't believe that. I don't think they care about inequalities or injustices. I don't believe that. They only got involved because Donald Trump came at them. And what I mean by that, it's two things that wealthy billionaire people don't like. They really don't like. Two things that wealthy billionaire people really don't like. And I'm kind of taking this for somebody else, but they don't like being told what to do. And they don't want you to mess with their money. Donald Trump decided to mess with both of those things at that speech on Friday night by telling fans to leave the game. So that's affecting their money. And then he told the owners that they should cut their players. That's telling them what to do. So that's when the owners decided to get involved. 7 of those owners who donated $1 million to Trump's inauguration. So I thought they were disingenuous. So I wasn't impressed with the owners being out there in a lot with the players because I thought they was doing it for all selfish reasons. Had nothing to do with inequalities or oppression or anything like that. They were out there because Donald Trump finally made a statement that affected them. Of all the many, many things that Donald Trump has said in the last 2 years, that was the thing that pushed them over the edge. Not the grabbing of the crotch, not the banning transgender people from the military, not trying to keep certain people from out of the country, not wanting to build a wall to keep out our friends from down south. It wasn't that. It was when he said, tell your people to leave the games if they're offended by people kneeling, or you should cut players. That's what the camera that broke the straws back right now. That was it. Not all the other things that he said. That was it. So I thought the owner was disingenuous. I support the players, but I want them to all have one mission. Everybody needs to be on the same accord. What are we kneeling for? What are we protesting? Why are we protesting? Need to be all in unison. Everybody needs to be on the same page. And if it's not in your heart, then you don't need to do it. Don't just do it just because. Do it if it's in your heart. If it's not in your heart, then don't do it. I just thought it was kind of anticlimactic on Sunday. I like some of it because it's some progress being made, but I'm not going to jump up and down the stream and go, yes, that was awesome. But it was good to see the players unite, and I hope they continue to unite. But again, have a purpose, have a reason to why you're uniting, have a reason why you're protesting. Don't just be out there protesting for the sake of protesting. Phone line, I'm gonna open up the phone lines. If you guys want to call in and talk about this, if you want to comment on this, anything to do with the Anthem Protest, anything that Donald Trump said over the weekend, what's your thought on sports roles, race, anything of that nature. If you want to talk about it, discuss, call in 864-378-5943. 378-5943. This is open forum, people. Whatever on your chest, get it off. Whatever on your mind, just be respectful. 864-378-5943. If you want to comment right here, you can. Also, I'll read that. If you got some comments, I'll read those off too. But I want to hear from you. Anthem Protest, all kind of stuff. But one thing that, that really got this thing, that got this Colin Kaepernick thing started to begin with was what was going on in the country at the time, which was a lot of white cops killing unarmed black men, and therefore a minute it was like one like every other day, like there was like back to back, which ultimately led Colin Kaepernick to his decision to do what he did. And it's just been sad, and it's just sucks what's going on. What do I think about the one guy from the Steelers? Do you think he felt a different way and his coaches and teammates made him feel bad for coming out? Well, from what I was told, the team gathered and they came up with what we thought was a unanimous decision as a group. And I agree with this. If you're going to do something, do it all together. You need to be on one accord. I think they must have had a miscommunications, and all of a sudden he comes out, they're not behind him. So it was some lost in translation. He did come back and say that he kind of threw his teammates up under the bus. But I just think it was just a miscommunications thing where he somewhere got lost in translation. Because from what I had heard, they had all agreed that we're going to stay in the locker room. We're not going to even come out that way. When we get out here, we don't have people standing. We don't have some people kneeling. We don't have some people locking arms. Let's just have one voice, one mass statement together. I think he feels bad now. I don't think the teammates made he felt bad when he realized he was out there by himself and they was not there. So hopefully he just didn't get it got lost in translation, because I really hope he didn't hear it and then say, I'm going to do my own thing, because that's just not a good look. Anytime you're in a team situation, military, you always need to be on one accord. You always need to have one voice. So I just think that's what happened with his situation. If you're watching, you want to talk about the national anthem protest, you want to talk about Donald Trump and his comments, you want to talk about race, we having all of that tonight. If you want to discuss any of that, 864-378-5943. I would love to hear from you guys tonight. This is an open forum, so this is tonight and tonight only, because I'm going to get back to my sports. But this is bigger than sport, so I felt the need that we should discuss some of these things. I'm open to any conversation, any type of conversation. Just be respectful of each other. Yeah. So yeah, Michael. It was weird because when I saw, because I had already heard Mike Tomlin say that we're going to stay in the locker room. It was reported we're not going out. We're not going. And then I saw him standing there and I was like, well, wow, did he just go rogue or what happened? And so from what I'm hearing, it got lost in translation. Maybe he misheard, but he been out there on his own. So I just think when you're in a group like that, you're a team setting, that you should all do the same thing and have one voice. But I was going to get back to why what's important. What's the most important thing about this is everybody is changing the narrative, and it's driving most black people insane. Let's just get it out there. It's driving black people crazy. Because I think some white people are very naive. I ain't gonna say the majority, because I know some of y'all get it. But it's driving black people crazy because I told you, I laid it out there for you what Kaepernick was kneeling for. I told you he was anti-military. He told you he was anti all of this stuff. He was not anti-military. He was not anti-flag. He was doing it for oppressed black people, brown people being mistreated by this country. And I just can't understand. I showed you the First Amendment, and I read it to you, and it says you can peacefully protest and ask the government to fix problems that you see. He's doing something I can't understand as an American citizen, that if you see something that's not right, why can't you hold this country to the standard that it's written, that it has written for itself. It has standards that it's written for itself that's not adhering to. All men are created equal. There should not be, I ain't gonna read it through all again, but you know what it says. So he calls you out, he calling this country out because it's not living up to its standard. It's not upholding the standard that it says it's going to. But people are upset. So I have no problem with you calling in my show or commenting and telling me that you would prefer them do something different for instead of kneeling. But what I will not hear is if you say we don't have a problem, because now you're just being disingenuous. Long as you admit and you can see that there is a problem with what he's talking about, because this has been going on for years and years and years, centuries and centuries, but it's sad that it's still going on today. I would have thought by 2017 we would not have nearly as many problems we have, but we still do. But I always like to talk about these things because I feel like this is the only way, being open and honest and upfront with each other about race, about our differences, because we have differences. But we need to be able to express those differences if we're going to come to some kind of progress needs to be made. It's sad that in 2017 we having the same conversation that we had in the 1960s when Jim Brown and Muhammad Ali and Bill Russell all said we wealthy black athletes, but we still get treated differently. This is not right. Here we go. We spending all back 2017. This stuff is still going on, still happening. And for those of you with the athletes and they billionaires, they don't have to worry about all this other nonsense. Did it stop somebody from writing the N word on LeBron James's house? He's a millionaire, a billionaire. Did it stop people from writing the N word on his house because he's wealthy? No. You're still black in America right now. And you're not one of the privileged. You're not. No matter how much fame, no matter how much money you have, you're still a black man first. Period. And all we trying to do is have a dialogue to address some of these situations, these huge elephants in the room. We gotta do better, people. And what pisses me off is I hear people say we gotta do better, and I hear certain people saying, and they say all the right things, but I don't believe I don't believe what they're saying. You know, I'm an action guy. I'm about results, action. Show me better than telling me anything. You know, sympathy and empathy is the biggest thing right now because blacks only make up 13% of the country. We know who the majority is. See, and a lot of you don't understand where we're coming from because you don't have to deal with these type of situations. But we need you to sympathize and be empathetic to these problems. We need you to understand these problems and try your best to try to help to get progress in these situations. We need the majority because we just the minority. We're just 13% of the population. That's just facts, you know. But you know what? One of the main problems, you know, what in the black community that we are so upset about, and rightfully so. The shooting of unarmed black men. It was already bad, you know, that these people are gone. Their parents ain't gonna never see them. Their significant others or whatever. But what pisses us off the most is you can have video of all of this, but nobody's being held responsible. And I think that's the biggest problem. You could kind of accept this if people were being held accountable. But instead, they get to go on paid leave. Get paid leave. And guess what? Nobody's convicted of anything. I'm looking at this list and I got a lunch. I mean, I could keep going forever. Philando Castile, Terrence Crutcher, Sandra Bland, Eric Gardner, Mike Brown, Rakia Boyd, Sean Bell got shot 50 times. Tamir Rice, 12 years old, Freddie Gray, and of course Trayvon Martin. And I could just keep going on and on and on and on. And the two things that's distinct about all of these cases, all of these people, and the people I left off this list, because there's a ton more, they're black, and the police never got charged, or convicted, I should say. No convictions. Somebody's dead and gone, but nobody's responsible? Nobody's responsible? See, I think that was the video, the fact that you got video of black people getting murdered and run down and gunned down in the street. And the cops get paid leave. And then they don't even get convicted. That's when you start hitting the Black Lives Matter. Which brings me to another point. I got 1,000 points. But, you know, they say, well, we shouldn't kneel to protest. That's not the way to do it. Well, you had the Black Lives Matter group. They marched and protested. And then all of a sudden, people start calling them a hate group. Or they're a bunch of thugs. You start hearing stuff like that. So I want solutions. I want you to tell me if that ain't the way to go, if kneeling ain't the way to do it, you can't march with your other black brothers and sisters because you get called a hate group. So what way should we protest these inequalities and these unjust things that continue to happen? Because even after all of this stuff is still happening. You can turn on your video right now, go to YouTube or Twitter right now, and you'll see something like this happening right now. Or it happened within the last week, I guarantee it. Because it happens way too much. And what bothers us, and what bothers the black people in the black community, is nobody's being held accountable. Which all ties back to Colin Kaepernick taking that knee, because he's seen the same thing we all see. People going on paid leave, people murdering people, not being held accountable at all. So all of this quagmire going on right now, you know, with the anthem and your president is, I mean, it's crazy times, but, you know, I believe in most of the American people that we got to do better, and hopefully better will come. I mean, I cannot believe I'm sitting here in 2017 and we're still having the same type of conversations that we had in the 1960s. I can't believe it. I can't believe it. Has there been some progress? Absolutely. Do we still have a ways to go? You damn right. We have a ways to go. Lines are open if you want to call. 864-378-5943. Discussion on race, politics, national anthem protest, Colin Kaepernick. This is tonight only. Because this is a sports show. But I'm not the type of guy who just turns a blind eye to stuff like this. Because I can't. Because reality is right there in your face. If it's bigger than football, why not refuse to play until things start changing? I guarantee that was some movement DirecTV would put the issue to. You know what? I've thought about that. I've even said that black season ticket holders and people who go to those games should not even show up at the stadium. Now, you think what you're saying is perfect, because that happened, shit would move. I mean, because the league is 7% black. So if they decide we're not playing, that would change a lot of stuff. I don't think they want to get to that, but I think the conversation has started. You got more eyeballs on it, and we're trying to get to where we're trying to go. Let's get the hell off the flag. Let's get off the anthem. Let's get off the military. Let's get on to this. Let's get on to these unarmed black men and women getting shot and killed with no consequences to the officers. Let's get on that, because that's what we need to keep this conversation. This conversation needs to stay on point. But I like that idea. I thought about that idea, but I don't want to be the guy to tell you don't do something you love to do. But it is bigger than football. So if you feel like these protests that you're doing right now ain't having an impact, say we ain't playing. You go mess with them billionaires' money, stuff start happening. Stuff move. Donald Trump just threatened to take some of their money. You had owners out there on the ground kneeling and holding arms and locking arms. Never thought you would see it. Donald Trump said something about talking about them fans leaving them stadiums and not watching their products and all that. You had owners down there on one knee. You'd have thought they was at a Baptist church for communion. They was out there. They was out there. But you're right. And I think sooner or later, if it continues down that road, you may see something that major happen. But right now, we're talking about it, but let's talk about the right things. Let's not talk about this flag. I'm so sick of hearing about this piece of cloth. Look, I was in the military. I didn't join the military to fight for a piece of cloth. I'm sorry. I went to fight for the democracy and the freedom that this country has sworn to uphold, that itself has been founded on. That's what I went for, not a piece of cloth. Fight for his freedom and the democracy that this country has sworn to uphold. I've read to you the First Amendment. I read to you the Declaration of Independence. It's all in black and white. Freedom of speech, freedom of press, freedom to assemble a group of people to protest and ask the government to fix problems. I can't say it no better than that. That's exactly what Colin Kaepernick did. Assemble and protest to ask the government to fix problems. Right there in black and white. That's what he did. He saw a problem, and it damn sure need to be fixed. I just gave you the list of people, and I got another 20 more people who shot down and killed by the hands of police and officers not even being convicted of even manslaughter. Just getting off scot-free, getting paid leave, getting off scot-free, and somebody's son is dead, somebody's daughter's dead, brother, sister, you go on and on and on. But it's right there in black and white. This country has wrote into some of its most finest paperwork. All men are created equal. They have to seek life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That's what it says. So Colin Kaepernick asked the government in this country to uphold the standard of which itself has said it would do. But it has failed. I love this country. I think it's the greatest country in the world. But that don't mean I shouldn't be able to call out when it ain't performing up to its duties. There's certain things in the country that are way better than others. But there is still some warts that need to be treated. And this is a wart because we still have this, the majority still has this sense of entitlement that they are better than certain people because they look a certain way, because of wealth, because of your sexual orientation. And all of that stuff is wrong. According to their own bylaws and own written statements, all men are created equal. It's right there in black and white, people. I ain't making it up. I ain't making it up. This ain't hyperbole. I mean, I focused on Cap earlier. I mean, he told you why he did what he did. The man has, out of his own pocket, donated over $800,000 out of his own pocket to charitable organizations. This man should be applauded. But no, he's been ostracized and demonized, and I call it white ball. He ain't been black ball, he been white ball because 31 or the 32 owners are white. Don't really know what Khan is. I'm assuming he's Middle Eastern. He's told you over and over, not anti-American, not anti-military, not trying to disrespect troops. Told you over and over, over and over and over again. But we keep, not we, but certain people want to keep running back to the same narrative about a flag, a piece of cloth. But again, I will listen to you tell me if you have a better solution for protesting. But what you're going to also tell me is that you realize that there is a problem. And what he's saying is dead right. What he's protesting is dead right. Now, you can tell me he could protest a different way. And I'm willing to listen to that. You call in, you put me a comment right there, you call in, I'll listen to it. I will listen to it all day long. But what I will not listen to is you tell me I'm being naive. We don't have a problem. We don't have a race problem in this country. If you don't like this country, you can just leave. I will not tolerate you people, because you people are the main problem. That's your mentality. You are in that majority. That is a huge problem, because if you feel that way, you're part of the problem. You're definitely a part of the problem. You're not part of the solution. I'm here for solutions. I'm here for the solutions. I'm glass half full. I may be naive to think we can fix it all. I don't think we could ever fix it all, but I never would have thought in 2017 that I'd be having the same conversation that they were having in the 1960s. People like, I hear a lot of, how should I say this? I hear a lot of white people, when it comes to Kaepernick, they bring up Martin Luther King, and they say how he did everything the right way, how he did it this way, and people like to look. They don't understand that you're looking backwards. He's revered now because of what he did. He wasn't revered in the time frame he was doing that. They were saying the same nasty things about Martin Luther King when he was doing what he was doing. It's the same thing this time about Colin Kaepernick right now. Now you go look that up. We talking about him glowingly now, and the majority talks about him glowingly now. That's not how it was. He had a lot of people who were with him, just like Kaepernick. A lot of people who support, and he had a lot of people who were totally against MLK. And was saying the same type of deal. It's all peaceful protest. It says it right there in the Constitution. Protest to ask the government to fix problems. You wrote, this is what wrote. You could have changed it throughout the years. It's still right there. All men are created equal. You had a right to protest, to seek change, to fix problems. It's all right there. It's all in black and white. Stop bringing up MLK, saying he did it the right way. He did Colin did the same thing. It's a peaceful protest. And protests are supposed to make you feel uncomfortable. Now, see, this is where you have to look yourself in the mirror and see what side you on. Because we don't have to agree with everything. But what you have to know is that if you are really the person that you say you ought to be, a good-hearted Christian person, then this stuff is wrong. You know it's wrong. People getting killed. I know people getting killed and no one's being held accountable. How can you look at that and not have, if you really have love in your heart, look at that and say, and just turn a blind eye to it? You live in falsehood. I can't even, I can't get with that. It's just not in my nature. A lot of folks say a lot of things. It's just like with this, freedom of speech. I say it all the time. People love to holler freedom of speech. We love right to free speech until you say or you do something that people don't agree with. Now you don't love freedom of speech. Now you want to knock the First Amendment because it's something you don't agree with. But I think it's necessary. It's been necessary. There's been one just crazy last couple of days. Like I said, I wasn't impressed Sunday by the owners. They were selfish. They were disingenuous. This is all because of their bottom line. I would say majority of them could care less about inequalities, could care less about oppressed black people. Why? They will never have to worry about being stopped. What the likelihood of them being shot and killed unarmed? 0.01%. So they don't care. And it's not their front door. It's not on the top of their mind. So that's why they don't care. They can't sympathize. And damn sure can't show empathy. But that's what you need. I've been saying that for months. You got to have sympathy and empathy from the majority because we are only 13% of the population. And in order to get this ball rolling, we need those people to sympathize and empathize with us and our plight. But I like what Michael Shane said. I think it may come to that. It may come to players saying we're just not gonna play. You think that would invoke change? Football is king in this country. Man, could you imagine them guys show up saying we not playing football? You remember at Missouri? That might have been last season. Was it last season or 2 seasons ago? They had the athletic director. There was some stuff going on campus, maybe a hate group or something. And those football players told them they weren't playing football until the AD got fired. I think they might have said that on Monday, but the AD was fired on Wednesday. And they ended up playing that game. I mean, hey, it's power in that, man. Sports is it's a powerful thing in this country. And it can move the needle. And that's why I'm so big on all of these athletes doing this, because for all the people who keep saying that stick to sports and all this garbage, all this nonsense. When was the last time you listened to a poor person? I'll wait. Why do you think advertisers get celebrities and pro athletes to advertise their products? Because they have influence. Duh. I've never understood the notion that athletes and somehow entertainers shouldn't be involved in politics and shouldn't have their voices be heard. I guess only middle class to poor people can talk about politics. I guess only Susie the lunchroom lady and Becky the bank teller could talk about politics and know what's good about this country. They're the one who know what's going on. I think athletes should definitely just speak on stuff of this nature. And I'm damn glad that most of them have decided to use their platform to make changes, because we're not listening to poor people. Why are we kidding ourselves? And everybody always wants to make this about money or celebrity status. I'm like, look, man, just because he's rich, he's supposed to just forget about the other 12% of black people who are poor to middle class people, who struggle every day, who go through this stuff, who go through profiling. They shouldn't care. I mean, what are you asking them? People think everything's about money. No, Colin Kaepernick cared about what was going on. The names I just gave you, the people who've been killed without any repercussions. He's seen that happening. Huge problem. So commend that brother. I'll always stand up for him. Always. You can like it, you can love it, you can hate it. I'm always gonna support him, because he was ahead of this thing. He saw this road was coming, and I'm like, who's gonna step up and say something? These people were getting shot and gunned down, seemed like on a weekly basis, and nothing was happening. even if they wanted to make it about the flag. My granddad fought in World War II, which ended in September 1945, but the Civil Rights Act, which ended segregation in 1965. So you tell me he could go fight for rights and get disrespected when he got back home for 20 years. That's true. They go to war in the World War II. Blacks would go to war, fight alongside their white counterparts, and then get back to America and be treated like second-class citizens. That's true. But in the Constitution and in the First Amendment and all this Declaration of Independence, it says all men are created equal. So the country has never quite lived up to its own standards. And what Colin Kaepernick was asking was for this country to stand up and live up to the standards that itself has said it would. That's all he asked. Let's stop making it about the flag. Let's stop making it about the military. Let's focus on the inequalities in this country. That's where the narrative should be at. And see, that's why one thing I hated about the Trumps. See, and then it all turned about, we was talking about Trump versus the NFL. And once again, we get all outside track from the real issues. I want to get on that. I'm not going to get distracted. The song say stay woke. You got to stay woke. Got to stay woke. You can't get sidetracked. All that Trump stuff. Trump, he's saying that to keep the heat off of him for what he got going on over here. You know, Puerto Rico having this major hurricane and this healthcare bill they're trying to get going on. So he's throwing all this out here so we can get distracted. Stay focused. Stay woke. I like that idea. Football players shouldn't be the only one who refuse to work. It should be everyone that cares about the injustices in the world. If everyone take a stand, then maybe things could change. I like that idea. That's a great idea. It shouldn't just be athletes. But I like the idea of having athletes speak for me because they got enough power and they can sustain the blowback, the financial hit that it's going to take to make those changes. But we can all do it from a ground level. We can make changes from a ground level too. I like that too. You're right. You're right on point with that. 864-378-5943. 378-5943. Give me some calls, man. Talk about some of this stuff. This is a very intense topic, uncomfortable topic for most people, but we have to hit this thing head on. Can't be scared of it. Can't be afraid of our differences. And we can disagree. We can agree to disagree. As long as there's no hatred in your heart, you're welcome on here anytime. You can say whatever you want. I may disagree with you, but if your principle and your logic are sound, I'll listen to you. I told you what I won't listen to, though. You can't give me that. You come in here with that nonsense. I don't want to hear. 864-378-5943. Open dialogue, open conversation about race, politics, Colin Kaepernick, national anthem protest, the Constitution, whatever. Police misconduct, all of that stuff ties into this. It's been one crazy week in the sports world. It seems like all of this just got dumped on the NFL's lap, but it's a problem all throughout the country that definitely needs addressed, definitely needs more attention in local communities, on up to the federal, state, all the way to the federal. This is a big deal. I felt it important, the need to come on here, and I wanted to open up with the Kaepernick because that's how this really got started. And I read his quotes verbatim over and over and over again to beat the point across people's head that this has never been about no flag. This has never been about the military. This is about black people and brown people being profiled, being oppressed, being murdered in the street, and no one being punished for it or held accountable. This is what this has been about the whole time. You can kid yourself if you want. This has been 13 months now. This is 14 months. This is what it's about. So stop trying to change the narrative. I won't let you change it, because if I keep hearing it, I'll come here every day and say, stop trying to change the narrative before I start talking about sport. Do you think that the NBA would be having this stuff going on with it too? It's a good question. I'm sure they'll do. I know LeBron just said that he's gonna stand. He said he appreciates what Colin Kaepernick has done. He admires all the NFL guys. He said he'll stand. He'll let his work in the community speak for itself. He's been very vocal. He's been very out front. And I go to LeBron because he's the face of the league. He usually is the voice of the league. He's the vice president of the player rep. So I'll take his side on that. I think you will see guys either kneel or interlock arms. There will be all kind of protests. Once again, you got the NBA, which is, I don't know how many percent it is. I think it's like 78, 80%. I might be wrong. It might be more than that. NFL is like 76%, 67%. I think the NBA like 78%. If I'm not mistaken, are black. So you're gonna see some kind of statement being made. I mean, this is what we living in right now. I mean, you got the president, and I respect the office of the presidency. I've always said that no matter who's been in, I always respect that. Even when he got elected, hey, look, I want to see the guy. I'll treat him with respect. I'll see how he handles stuff. But so far, it's been a dud. And I'm not a politics guy, so I don't care about the politics. My thing with the president, I just want somebody I can look and say, I like the way that guy represents me. I want him to be a representation of me. That means being classy, being sophisticated, articulate, saying the right things. That's what I look for. But I don't care about the politics. I just don't, because it's all about, that's BS for the most part. I just care about representation of me. And right now, I mean, the things this guy says and does is just unbecoming. And people just make excuses for it or just laugh it off. And that's fine. And that's what you want to do. But the NBA players would definitely have some kind of protest each and every night. You can expect to see that every night. That, you know why? Because you got 82 games. They could strike, Mike. And they can, because they want to short the season anyway. And I do too as a fan. I think they should only play 60 games, right? So they can strike and miss the first month and a half, 2 months, and it would be no big deal, right? They can come back and the season will be fine. So yeah, they can definitely strike. But we in all seriousness, this right here though, this has to stop. The Philando Castillos and the Terrence Crutcher and the Sandra Bland and the Eric Gardners of the world. This has to stop. This has been going on for way too long. And the sad thing about it is, these are on camera. So if these are on camera, imagine all the ones that are not on camera. Scary, right? But I'm gonna get out of here. This has been a very, informative type Sentell. I told you it would be. Again, Friday I will be in Calhoun Falls for Alumni Day, broadcasting from the practice field. I'll be out there, so can't wait to see all my Calhoun Falls alumnus. Should be fun. Homecoming that evening, so I look forward to that. I guess I'll leave with this. All men are created equal. It says in the Constitution, all men are created equal. And everybody has the right to free speech. We have a right to protest. And we have a right to ask the government to fix problems. That's what Colin Kaepernick's ultimate goal what he set out to do initially. So all the other narrative we trying to create, squash them. It's right there in black and white. All men are created equal, and you have a right to peacefully protest and ask the government to fix problems. Got to hold this country to the standard in which it says that it was supposed to hold itself. So we have to ask that it holds itself to those same standards. I was about to get off there. I see a few more viewers come on. If you want to call in, we're having an open discussion about race, national anthem protest, Colin Kaepernick, police brutality. We're talking about all of that good stuff. If you want to call in right now, 864-378-5943, 378-5943. I'll stay for a few more minutes. I see a few more viewers pop up. So 864-378-5943, 864-378-5943. If you want to get in on this hot topic of conversation, what's going on with the president, the Anthem Protest, just a lot going on in the world of sports. This is bigger than sports, so I decided tonight that we would discuss some of this stuff. I know race is an uncomfortable issue to talk about sometimes, but you got to face it head on. You got to talk about each other's differences. We got to come up with solutions. You know, you can't just keep kicking the can down the street and hope somebody else picks it up and figure out something. We need to start now. I'm so disappointed that I'm having this conversation in 2017, same conversation that we had in 1960s we having it right now. I'm so disappointed and so just upset. We got a call. Oh, my old stomping grounds, the 615. Yeah, caller, what's your name and where you calling from?
This is the sports critic from Nashville, Tennessee.
What's up, brother? I knew who this was. What's going on, man?
Oh, man, it's going well, brother. Let me say, brother, I'm proud of you, man, for what you're doing.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
From a standpoint of having your voice be lifted, because I think of sports media, without the exception of certain entities, do not lift certain points that you're making. And let me commend you there first and foremost. I think the most interesting thing about, the show is the point that you make about constitutional rights. That's the one thing I believe that is being lost in all of this when we discuss this, because we know that there are certain people in our society that know that white privilege exists. Mm-hmm. They know they benefit from it. So instead of talking about constitutional rights, they have us focus on the idolatry and the imagery of a flag versus the rights of other human beings. And the thing that you just said a few moments ago, when you said that America is supposed to, at least as Americans, the Constitution gives us room to hold America accountable as an organism or as a country, as the birthplace of all of our origins that we know of, to say that we have the right to tell America to do what's right based what's in the law books, or at least what we are told that this country is founded on. That's what MLK did when he did his speech at the March on Washington in August of 1963. One of the things that he said was that I don't believe that America is bankrupt, and paraphrasing it, from the standpoint of the Bank of Justice. And when Colin Kaepernick started to protest, he didn't tell people he was protesting. It was noticed that he was. And then when they asked him why, he was honest about why he was sitting down. And then the research that he did, because he talked to a soldier that told him about kneeling as a sign of respect when a fallen comrade in the service, that's what they did. So instead of sitting down to show that he respected the military, to show that he respected the history of the sacrifices made by all Americans, is why he knelt. but she hadn't seen that information come out. Very few national sports shows and national publications have done the research to inform the people. So what I like about what your show is doing is the open forum to allow people to learn about the information. What Kaepernick did was show us what the third stanza of the national anthem is. Nobody wants to deal with that part. And that shows that America is comfortable with the illusion of what we think we are versus what we really are. We're more concerned about top 25 football rankings in college football than the top 25 rankings of where we rank in education, where we rank in poverty, where we rank in quality of life and healthcare, and all the things that America is really sliding down. We are the emperor with no clothes. This is an empire that is fastly ending, and we won't admit it. That's what Colin Kaepernick's stance means to me. He is a member of my fraternity, which is Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated, the greatest fraternity in the world. But the thing that we hold to is that we want to inspire service in the public interest. We want to bring these types of things to the forefront. So again, brother, I thank you for the opportunity to lift my voice to your audience and let you know that this is an important discussion. And police brutality is something that has been going on in America for the last 170 years, considering, our freedom as African Americans. Because when you dig up the history, this stuff isn't new. When you go back to black codes and you go back to the sundown rules of the South, where black men had to be inside by a certain time, and if they were not, it was okay for the cops to kill them and beat them and all different manners of things. And when our fellow white brothers that tout the thinking of law and order or that philosophy, they don't know. A lot of them don't know that they're channeling those same things. When we think it's okay to shoot a man unarmed with his hands in the air with no weapon, what we're saying is that we don't value the life of another human being. And we make the discussion about kneeling and the flag, but the conversation rarely is about what the protest was in the first place.
Amen, brother.
So that's the part that sickens me for my other Americans that are not of color. And that does not represent all of them, because quite a few white Americans understand that. And make no mistake about it, here's the thing that we got to stop doing, and I'll close with this. The thing that we got to stop doing as African Americans is that we got to stop pushing away other people groups that see our cause, because we have this belief that we got to fix us before everybody else comes and aid us. If it was not for other people groups in America, the civil rights movement would have never moved the way that it did. And I'm not saying that those things were always perfect, because they're not. But we got to see that we're all stronger together. And that's really what we lose. And that's where we have to make sure that we speak about law and order and respect the officers and respecting the country. But at the same time, we're asking for our rights. We're asking to be treated as human beings. And if you're a white American and you're listening to this podcast tonight, and if that piece does not resonate with you, then you, ma'am or sir, have a problem with race that you don't want to admit. And if you call yourself a Christian, and this is the pastor side coming out of me now. If you fancy yourself as a Christian, you cannot call yourself a true Christian when the Bible teaches us that if we can't love our neighbor who we see every day, we can't say we love God and we don't love our neighbor. Loving our neighbor as ourselves means that we empathize with the type of things that go on in this world that may not always affect us. That's what loving your neighbor is. And on the flip side of that, I can love my neighbor that disagrees with me about police brutality. That's why I have to lift my voice in protest to make you get it. Because if I pick up a gun and make you believe it, then we have anarchy, we have chaos. So that's why protest is important to this country, a country that was started on protest. Without protest of the Boston Tea Party, there would be no America. So that's the thing that we got to remember for those of us that struggle with protest. Even some of our own black people, so to speak, I've argued these points with some of our own people that are saying, what profits the country to protest and all these type of things. It's the most ignorant and idiotic thing that any person of color could ever say to me, because we all benefit from those that stood and lifted their voices and sacrificed their lives, sacrificed their livelihoods, their families, and their own way of life to ensure that in our generation, most of us born in the 70s and 80s, could drink out of water fountains, go to colleges, and live in neighborhoods, and work and earn a living in places that 50 years ago African Americans could not. How dare you, ma'am or sir, if you're an African American, say that? So that's my piece. Just want to say, great show, brother. Appreciate you allowing me to lift my voice. Man, but I tell you, man, it's just so many people in America, African American, Hispanic, Asian. We're scattered because we don't understand basic human rights. We don't understand basic constitutional rights that you should have learned in high school. That shows you how uneducated our system really is, when people think they got the right to tell somebody else how to enforce, or at least how to express their own constitutional right. Think about that.
Deep, brother. I love all of it, man. I love all of it. I appreciate the phone call. That's great knowledge, man. That's beautiful stuff. Well said.
All right, my brother. Keep rocking and rolling, man. I'll be calling again sometime.
Thank you, man. Appreciate the call.
All right, man. God bless your audience.
You know what? I can't even follow that. Like I got nothing. That is so beautifully well said and so well put. I can't even follow that. I mean, I'm gonna leave it at that. That was beautiful, man. He's so right. And I say it again. It's right there in black and white. It's in the Constitution. It's written right there for you to see. I still see some viewers. If you want to call in, I'll stay for another few minutes. If anybody want to call in and add some more to that, that was about as deep and educational as it can get. I even learned some stuff. And that hard that is believe. And I thought I knew it all. That brother, that is sharp. He's one of the guys I look up to. Had the idea to start this show. He's one of the few people I contacted and got in touch with to want to do this. So really appreciate the kind words from him. But that was just so well said. And I hope some of you out there listening, my white audience, pay attention to some of this and listen. Do your research. Do your homework. Understand some of this stuff. Don't just turn a blind eye to everything. Everything ain't as black as white as you may think it is. So I just appreciate that phone call. That was just, it left me speechless. 864-378-5943. Having a conversation about race, politics, national anthem protest, Colin Kaepernick, Donald Trump. This is a one-shot, one-kill deal. We're gonna get back to sports Friday, but for the night and the night only, we're diving into this word because it needs to be discussed. We can't run from it. You can't hide from it. Yes, I know him. He's bright. He's a bright guy. Well spoken. Great person. So appreciate that phone call. If you want to get in here, like I said, open forum, open dialogue. You can go for long as you want. Talk about whatever you want in regards to, this topic, this conversation. Just a great informative show. I said what I had to say. Then this guy just came in here. He made this call and he just laid it out all out there for you. And it's right there in black and white. All of this stuff is written what he's saying. Ain't none of this stuff hyperbole. All of this stuff is written. You can go look this up anywhere and see this stuff. And he's right. Dare somebody tell you how you should protest. This country is founded on protest. Great phone call. 1 or 2 more minutes. I'll see if I get another phone call, maybe another comment, and I'm getting out of here. I had planned on going an hour, but as you can see, we've gone over an hour. This is an intriguing topic, and people want to discuss this. It's on the national conscience. It's real, especially for most of my audience. We can't run from it. We look in the mirror every day. black man in this country. So I definitely want to see some changes and hope changes are on their rise. It's not going to be in a day. It won't be tomorrow. It won't be in 10 years. It won't be in 20. But hopefully we are not having this. I've said it once and maybe 3 or 4 times tonight. I'm just so depressed and disappointed that I have to have this conversation in 2017. The same conversation we had in the 1960s. We're still having today. So progress has been made, but there's much more progress that needs to be made. So, again, I'll leave with what I was trying to leave with. I'll leave again with that. All men are created equal. And you have the right to protest and to ask the government to fix problems. And that's what the brother Colin Kaepernick was trying to do. And what he's still trying to do. There it is. It's in black and white. Do I think the league will make rule changes as it pertains to what kind of rule changes? I'm not understanding. To ensure that players all stand for the national anthem. I think in due time that will happen. And all you're doing is making them stand. But as of right now, they didn't have that rule was not in play. Colin Kaepernick was well within his rights to do what he did. I think the man should be commended. And not ostracized like he's been and demonized. He's put his money where his mouth is. He's donated over $800,000 of his own money to police, to minority groups, to women groups, even to military veteran groups. The guy who was anti-military and anti-flag has donated money to veterans. Get out of here! Really shocking. Because it's never been about the flag of the military. I'm not gonna let you put that narrative on this show, ever. Yeah, you know they used to make see you're a smart brother. The NFL used to charge the military to be on the field. They didn't start letting them come on the field for free until the story got out. They used to charge the military for all of those little promos they used to do with the military. The NFL would charge your military, your veterans, the guys that you support and honor. The NFL who claims to support and honor, and they all about being patriots, used to charge the military to come on the field. True story. It's in black and white. Once again, you can look this up. It's right there. Everybody hide behind patriotism because they don't want to discuss the real issues. But I ain't going to let you not discuss the real issues. I'm not going to let you get away with it. Not long as I got this mic in my hand. Now, I'm going to do sports. But I ain't going to let you flip that narrative because it's not about a flag. It's not about the military. It's not about disrespecting the military. And then it's so bad because you'll have military people tell you, I'm with this. I stand for this. This is what we fought for. And you still have the same set of people who still say the same thing. You just putting the flag in the military. When you just been had a guy from the military tell you, this is what I fought for. I didn't fight for a flag. I fought for his freedom of speech. I fought for his right to say what he said and do what he's doing. But you still have the same set with the population to say you disrespected the flag and about all the other nonsense. So it's, hey, you know, it's whatever. It is what it is, man. This is if you're in here watching, if you want to call, because I'm gonna get out. I was supposed to be gone, but this has been such an intriguing conversation, a conversation worth having. Police brutality, race, Donald Trump, Colin Kaepernick, national anthem protest. We hitting all of that. If you want to call in and share your thoughts on any of it, anything I said, anything my caller just said, which was just brilliant. I mean, it was just fantastic, man. I'm sitting here like in awe because that was just great stuff. How about the NFL protest making it into the church? I need you to elaborate a little bit more. I'm not sure I follow you with that. I don't know if it's a statement, question. Well, I mean, so are you telling me? Okay, I'm trying to read not too much into that. Are you saying people at church are kneeling? Ryan Carpenter's wife divine redemption. I need to check. Is something I need to look into? Is this something I need to check out? I think as soon as I get off here, I'm gonna check that out. Interesting. We just had a good conversation, man. Like I say, I know this is an uncomfortable topic for a lot of people, because nobody wants to be labeled as not. I guess to say the word, you're not trying to be a part of the solution. You want to distance yourself from this and make it all about other things, and you don't want to deal with adversity and realize that. What are they calling back? Oh, yes, caller.
It's the critic again.
Okay, I was like, okay, who called him Tennessee again? What's up?
I saw that question, and as a pastor, if I may,
okay,
can I speak to that?
Go ahead.
Now, one of the things that we gotta understand in America, the church has always been the backdrop of what we say we believe, our values as Americans, but there's always been a hypocrisy attached to that. Because if you juxtapose slavery against the church, most of us would have some strange emotions, if you will, and that's putting it lightly, because I've had that conversation with several different people, not just black people. But the role of protest with the church has always been connected. And I think many churches are speaking to a lot of these things, but it's just not the churches that you see on television. Now, there are guys like, say, Dr. Otis Moss in Chicago, who took over the church that Jeremiah Wright once pastored. He's the guy that I would recommend that you look up, because he's probably already done some sermon series about that. Otis Moss, look him up. Go to YouTube. You know, he's probably got a ton of sermons there. Somebody like a Howard John Wesley out of Washington, D.C. is a guy that speaks to the current generation. He takes current events and he breaks it down from a biblical standpoint, because Dr. King once said that a preacher should have the Bible and the newspaper in his hand at the same time to really speak to the inequities and the challenges that everyday people face. So from that perspective, I think that sometimes we're too quick to charge the church to do something when, in fact, many of us are not a part of the church ourselves, because sometimes we get weary in our well-doing because we don't think that we see the church doing enough. When the truth is, we as a people, if you are a believer in Christ, whether you go to a place of worship or not, us tonight lifting up our voices and saying and giving opinion about the things that we see in this great country that we don't like, is like church, because church is not a building. Church is people. And in some respects, I'll say this. I think that the uncomfortable conversation that we got to have with the segment of the church that is outside of the quote-unquote black church, because we still got too many Southern Baptist pastors, you know, like a Pastor Robert Jeffries out of Texas, that's saying some of the craziest things that he can say about the flag, when he's a pastor himself, and he's basically talking about disrespecting the flag. And Ray Lewis was saying, well, I would never disrespect the flag. I got on my knees and prayed. Well, here's the deal. The flag is it's a flag. And if you value a flag over God, which says love your neighbor as thyself, then you violate one other Ten Commandment, which is not having any other God before me or making a graven image of God. So when you make the flag more important than human life, as a pastor, you have now endorsed idolatry. versus saying that I'm going to endorse the love and affection of a fellow human being. And that's regardless of what I believe somebody's political leaning should be, whether you voted for Donald Trump or not. The one thing that we learned about 9/11 is that when we saw almost 4,000 people's lives lost, we put down our differences and we said that not only was it an attack on American soil, but it was a loss of life. And we didn't let partisan politics stop us from acknowledging the fact that so many people lost their lives. So the same thing should go with Dr. Robert Jeffries in Texas. The same thing, Dr. Robert Jeffries in Texas and Jamal Bryant should be saying the same thing, but sadly they cannot, because partisan politics is big business in America, in particular with the whole Christian church. And that's even with some of the leaders in the black church, so to speak. So that's why you don't see the uniform voice, at least from myself as a pastor myself, you don't see some of the things that you should be saying about this protest, because for as long as I can remember, when I do my research, partisan politics in the pulpit has always been connected. Even if you go back to Billy Graham, who was an advisor of several presidents, Billy Graham and Richard Nixon could be sitting in the office calling black people niggas. That's on tape. Look it up. You would be shocked at some of the things that you would hear that certain pastors have connected themselves with when it comes to political power. So from that perspective, we can't look to, the famous preachers or the people that we know or we admire all the time to say that the church is supposed to do X, Y, and Z. Because if you're a believer in Christ, it doesn't matter what church you're affiliated with. Whenever you see injustice, and if you have a platform like we have now to lift up our voice, then we do that. We don't have to wait on Dr. Robert Jeffries. We don't have to wait on Otis Moss. We don't have to wait on T.D. Jakes and all the different people that we may respect, the Joel Osteens and all these people that we know and we love. Because social media and this type of platform allows us to lift our voice and not wait on the church, not wait on all these different entities that we trust. Because most times when you hear that, that's somebody, and I'm not saying, I'm not taking it as such, but I'm just saying in general, that's somebody that has an apathetic view on what the church is supposed to do. Because every time there's a national tragedy, the question is, what is the church going to do? What does the church say? Instead of saying, what as we as a total community, because most of us, if you do a poll with the Pew Research, most Americans overwhelmingly say that they're Christian. And then when you start breaking it down, all the people that's got all the cares about what the church is supposed to do are the folks that don't even go to church consistently. They're not giving tithes and offerings. They're not serving on any committees. They're not serving on any things in these communities that really affect anything. So from that perspective, I think the church has always been visible in certain respects. But then the other part of that is that when you divide church by race and culture, the black church has always been on the forefront of trying to make social change, while the white church has been slow to do it or to align themselves with churches that do so. And to be quite honest with you, a lot of churches are splintering off in other things, because now the whole homosexual thing is important. Women's rights are just as important. And you got so many places that the church is being pulled to say something about. And it's not that the church is silent. It's just the fact that we expect the church to be the be all end all for all this stuff, and it's just not.
That's not fair.
Because everybody can't speak to everything. Everybody's not called to speak to everything. But when it relates to the NFL, and I'll say this in closing, the NFL does not necessarily always align with faith values. During the Super Bowl, they'll let some guys do some things. And Ray Lewis is fancying himself, and I got other words for him, but I'm trying to be nice, to say that he's going to bend down and pray, but you're saying that you don't want people to protest. And then the flag, again, is more important than people. That's idolatry. I don't know what God you pray to that day, but the God that I pray to don't want another God before him. The God that I pray to, the Bible says he is a jealous God. So from that perspective, if I cannot love my neighbor as myself, the Bible says if we have unforgiveness in our heart, he can't hear our prayer. And America has this unforgivable silence about murder to its citizens of color. And not only its citizens of color, but let's talk about the DACA and all this stuff, throwing people out of the country, kids. And, you know, Jesus said this, and I'll wrap it up when I say this. Jesus said this. He said that if you do things to the poor, meaning that if you visit the sick in jail, you do it unto him. If you feed the hungry, you do it unto him. If you visit those that are in jail, you do it unto him. So if we reverse that, if we don't take care of widows, if we don't take care of people that can't fight for themselves, then the same pastors that are standing up and saying that they're standing up for patriotism and forgetting the fact that Jesus came for the lowly, the brokenhearted, and folk that can't defend themselves, then those men are not pastors. Those men are not representative of God. They're representative of an ideal. And when you're representative of an ideal, then you're forgetting God because your ideal becomes more important than the actual mission of what pastors in the church are supposed to do. That's idolatry at its finest. So that, I think that's when I saw that, I thought that was a great question, because I think that's where that person was leaning toward. And again, as a preacher and pastor, I understand the hypocrisy of those on the right that do not want to see people disrespect the flag, because many of them have flags in their churches, and they don't know that that's idolatry. Yeah. There should be nothing in a church that takes away from the worship of God, not even the American flag. And then the hypocrisy of what we've seen people do to flags before. Well, nobody said anything about Dylan Roof there in South Carolina where you're located burning a flag. That's the guy that shot up 9 people. Nobody complained about that.
You're right, bro.
So we pick and choose what we want to honor.
Pick and choose.
And we're not consistent. But we're only consistent with what does not fit the narrative, like you said earlier. We're consistent with what does not fit the criteria of the things that we say we stand for. When the truth is, going back to the church thing, most of us are under a spirit of idolatry because the flag and the military and all those things, that's the buzzword of the political right. Sounds good. That's why Sean Hannity and those guys make millions of dollars. That's why black conservatives, so-called, the Warren Williams, the Armstrong Williams, and all those guys combined don't make the money that Rush Limbaugh makes. You got to think about that stuff. That's why you don't have these kind of conversations on ESPN. They only give you a small snippet of the truth because it's not about informing you. It's about conforming your mind to think a certain way. And when people dare come out of that narrative, that's why you got 7 owners in the NFL that supported Trump. And when they, quote-unquote, showed solidarity, they were showing protection for their brand.
Their pockets.
Not for what the protest was about in the first place. That's still a step and a slap in the face. And as those ratings continue to plummet, and like they had to do last year, they had to write a check back to the advertisers. And for those that think that protests don't work, you still sleep.
I'm with you, bro. I love it again, man. There's a lot of information. It's just good stuff, man. I mean, you're brilliant. I mean, just awesome stuff you say, man. It's so well spoken. I just love it, man. I appreciate you.
Okay, brother, love you, man. Sorry about that. I just wanted to make sure the church was represented.
I got you. I see you, man.
All right, Otis Moss. Remember that name? Go look him up if you don't know the church.
I got it.
Look him up.
All right.
Yes, sir.
That guy's awesome, man. What a night. Great phone call again. I mean, I'll leave up that other to him. I can't follow that. I just know stick to your principles, believe in your principles, and say what you mean and mean what you say. There's a lot of hypocrisy in this world, and you see it every day, even in the church. I mean, you see it every day. People saying one thing, living another. changing narratives to fit when it benefits them. It's all hypocrisy. It's all the same. So that's where we at, man. We got a long way to go. Long way to go as a people, as a society. I don't know if it's getting better or worse, but we got a long way to go. But this has been one crazy show. Appreciate everybody for watching tonight. If you're still in here, I'll leave the lines on for a few more minutes. 864-378-5943. 864-378-5943. This is Sentell's Intel. We've had an open discussion about race, politics, Donald Trump, national anthem protest, killing an unarmed black man. I mean, we've covered the globe on this thing, and that's what I wanted. An intense conversation about race, which I know is uncomfortable. People don't want to talk about it. I know white people don't want to keep hearing about their privileges. It's true. You have privileges that we don't. I mean, it's the way it is. You have to accept that. Don't be naive to the fact. And when I tell you I'm something's bothering me, don't dismiss me. Listen to your brother. We got to come together. And he made a great point about Christians, man. And again, hypocrisy. How can you read from the same Bible and the things that are in the Bible, and then treat your fellow man the certain way you may treat him, but stand behind that Bible? I've never understood it. It's just always been something that I just thought was just despicable. And I'm always questioning these guys, how are you a preacher? How are you so-called Christian reading from this Bible, and then you can treat your fellow man the way you treat him? So we got a long way to go, people. 864-378-5943. I had only planned on being here an hour. As you can see, we're well over an hour and a half now, which is fine. A free open forum. I love it. Love the conversation. Want more of it. This is a conversation that needs to be had, and like I said, it's a one-time deal, so that's why I'm allowed it to run long as it won't. Because if you got something to say, I want to, like I said way back in the beginning of the program, I want to hear your comments. I want you to be honest with each other, and just be respectful. That's the only way you can. The only way you can solve a problem is to admit you have one first. America has a problem, and it's had this problem for a long time. Has it gotten better? Yes, but we still have a ways to go. Still a segment of the population that believes that because they look a certain way that they're better than you. There's a certain segment of the population who believes that they just have the right to treat you a certain way. Don't feel you as equal to them. And that's just the reality of the situation. That's what this whole protest began about. The injustices and the inequality that are going on in this country that continue to go on. And until we can get together and unite, and stand against it and be arm in arm and have the same voice with the majority to help. It can't just be a minority thing. Just like the civil rights, it can't just be black people. You gotta have whites too. You gotta have whites to sympathize and empathize with us. Can't just be black people. Can't be just Hispanics. Can't be just Middle Eastern, Asian. It's gotta be everybody. A united front against oppression and racism and intolerance and all of that shit. That's what it is. Why wasn't the MLB player who kneel's story as big as NFL players? I think you know the answer to that, right? Plays in a predominantly white sport. He's like a rookie catcher. He played with the Oakland A's. I mean, you got a lot, and then I think he did like the day before, maybe it was the day after Trump said that, and then you had the NFL the next day, so that story just got swept. You know how big that the Anthem thing was? That we had a mass shooting, I believe it was in Nashville. They had a mass shooting in Nashville. That story didn't even get I didn't even hear about that story over the weekend because of the NFL, all what's going on. Of course, you got the hurricane with Puerto Rico going on. I mean, these stories again swept by the NFL and what's going on. So you knew that MLB player story was going to get. I mean, he plays for Oakland. He's a rookie. He's in a predominantly white sport. So just wasn't going to carry no legs. If that had been Adam Jones, it would have been a bigger story. Black guy in Baltimore, a name who has had racial issues throughout his career. So that would have been a bigger story, but everything got swept away this weekend. Once Trump said that Friday night, and then all the way into Monday night after it to Tuesday, which is still a story now, but everything in the news cycle was wiped away, wiped clean. That mass shooting that no one has talked about it. And Puerto Rico is badly being talked about. So and that's where you gotta stay woke. I mean, because that's real life. You need to take care of people. We built on taking care of people, and like the guy said, you take care of the poor, you take care of the homeless, right? We got people homeless, starving, without food and water, and nobody's doing anything. So there you have it. I'm gonna get out of here this time for real. This has been an interesting show. I hope you have learned something tonight. I hope your heart has been open, your ears are open, and you came away with just some knowledge, and just hope that you appreciated the information that you got and what you heard. I mean, again, what people care about. Flint, Michigan. Well, who lives there? Who's the majority in Flint, Michigan? Black and brown people. Not priority, right? I mean, there it is. I mean, that's the kind of thing we got to talk about. I mean, Flint been out of water. They've been in that problem for like 2 years now. I mean, this is going on forever. And we still have this problem. But we're not talking about it. I mean, it's bad on the radar. It just flies up under the radar. So that's where we are. This has been Sentell. You know who I am. The sensational Sentell Wideman. Like I said, I will see you guys Friday night. I will be broadcasting live from Calhoun Falls, home of our Alumni Day. I cannot wait to see all my old classmates and old football teammates. It just should be a great evening. This show was necessary and needed. I'm glad that you guys tuned in. I appreciate it. I will see you Friday. I am out. Love you guys.